All right, welcome to hashtag PVT One-on-One. This is a special, exclusive content type of interview. I sit down inside Alubel Studios here, and we get to sit down, and there's no noise, no music, no nothing. We just get down to the nitty-gritty. And my first ever guest is Jim Luna from Quarter Moon Productions, 2010 Hall of Famer. We're alumni, man.
Yeah,
How's
alumni.
it going? Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you, Carnalito. Te lo agradezco, man.
Carnalito.
What an honor for me, man. I mean,
hey, same here, bro. I mean, I love meeting people. I love talking to people in the industry. And you've been doing concert promotions for a long time in the Houston area.
Yeah.
¿Qué tantos años tienes ya en este pedo, Dan?
bueno, I'm going on 48 years, going on 50 years, yeah, man. I started when I was 21 years old. Más antes hacíamos bailes, right? We didn't do concerts, but bailes. I started my first show I did in Angleton on a Thursday night, which was unheard of in those days. It was Saturday night. It was like $2 to get in, but I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
Truje Little Joe.
Okay.
When he was just changing names from the Latin ears to La Familia.
Uh-huh.
And I brought him on a Thursday night, and I charged $10. Never heard of, hey, le cobré $10, $5 pre-sale, 10 at the door. Boy, they bought all the pre-sale tickets out. So, yeah, and I said, man, this is what I got to do, man.
Yeah. So we're talking 1975?
So, no, I graduated in 74, and so it was probably about 78, 79.
Graduated 74, ¿de dónde?
De Angleton, Texas.
Angleton,
Wildcats.
The Wildcats.
Wildcats.
Oye, cuando estabas en la escuela, que entrabas a sports, estabas en la música, ¿en qué
No,
estabas?
bro, yo no puedo ni tocar a spaghetti, dog.
Tocas el radio bien fuerte.
Toco el radio de toda madre.
Yeah.
No, I was an athlete, but I played baseball.
Okay.
And I boxed from the time I was 8 till I was about 27, I think.
Sí.
Yeah.
How was it growing up in the late 60s, early 70s?
You know what? I didn't live a sheltered life. I mean, we were out, at that time, you didn't come in till the lights were out, man. We didn't have any problems. Allá más antes, back in those days, it wasn't like it is now, man. We slept with our doors open. I'm sure that's an old cliche. You hear that a lot from people my age, but it's true.
Yeah.
We didn't... cuando te tiraban el chiflido to come back and eat, man, you better get there quick. But you're out there until dark,
Sí, en la bike todo el día.
And we didn't have nothing to keep us inside the house, man. We didn't have none of that.
No, nada de video games, nada de ese pedo, ¿no?
Cállate, chingada. Fuera bueno.
Yeah, man. How big is Angleton? That's like southwest of Houston, ¿verdad? Por ahí?
We're on the Gulf Coast. We're about 40 miles south of Houston, on the Gulf Coast. Angleton. It's called Brazoria County. Angleton, Lake Jackson, Freeport, pueblos en convecinos ahí, clubs.
Sí.
They're all right there in the...
¿Y qué hacían tus jefitos when you were growing up? What were they into, man?
My mom was a full-time mother, man. She was a
stay-at-home,
stay-at-home mother. We had 3 squares every day, man. Right. And my dad was the foreman for the city of Lake Jackson.
Oh, okay.
For many, many years until he passed away there. That was, I think, his only job that I ever knew he had.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was there.
Yeah. And, growing up in Angleton, what was there to do during the weekends and stuff when you were growing up?
Hey, bro, we used to sneak out the back, out of the window, man. No te miento, bro. Nos acostábamos con los pantalones puestos, calcetines y la chingada. We just go over the covers, man. Y luego nomás se llegaba. We tell when the parents went to sleep. Salía por la ventana y para los Angleton Fairgrounds. ¿Te acuerdas de un señor que se llama Tamés? He was out of Corpus, man. He made dances. Era un locutor in, I don't remember the name of the radio station. I want to say KCST or something in Corpus. And he would make dances periodically at the Angleton Fairgrounds. Ahí es donde miré a Sonny. That's where that started for me, Agustín.
Sí.
So those are my childhood idols, man.
El camino de Corpus para Angleton es por La Vaca y todo eso, ¿verdad?
Yeah, Highway 35. Yeah, straight up.
¿Y qué tan lejos estaba Angleton de Corpitos?
3 horas.
3 horas?
Yeah. It's a nice trip down 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo conozco de por La Vaca a Joel Nava, man.
No, ¿Qué
le pasó a Joel, bro?
I haven't seen him in years, man. He had a couple of great songs for a while.
Tenía una voz tremenda.
Yeah, he did.
Una vez poríamos, bro, días, bro. Nos vinimos en el bus de allá de Dallas y, no, hombre, it was a party bus, carnal.
No me digas
I would really...
parties.
Have you talked to him lately?
No, I haven't talked to him in years, man.
Yeah.
years.
I'd like to sit down with him and talk about his, his era when he was "Para qué." Remember that old song?
Yeah, that was probably his biggest hit he ever had.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Incredible, man.
So you graduated with 74,
Yeah.
And then you started doing dances right after 75?
Well, let me tell you the little story. So back then I was 21, right? Going to be 21, I guess. And excuse me. We were I had a trip to Monterrey. I had an uncle that was well-to-do in Monterrey, and he owned a salon called El Salon Laredo downtown Monterrey, and we'd go stay within 3 or 4 days. Y on the way back, ya había vendido una casita que tenía que my sister had sold me, and I sold it to another guy, and I made a little money off of it. Y me
¿Qué tanto estaba la casa? ¿Qué tanto te costó la casa?
$4,000. One bedroom.
Yeah.
La vendí for $8,000.
Wow,
le tuve que pagar a mi carnal toda la feria que le debía, ¿no?
Sacaste doble.
Pues la veía.
Man, the prices back in the 70s, bro, right?
One bedroom, luxury.
$4,000 for a house.
Pinche terrenito de esos, I think 35-foot lot, about 100-foot deep.
Todo lo que necesitaba.
Less yard to cut,
Era una
¿no?
mansión. Era una mansión.
Para nosotros sí.
Yeah.
So on the way back, me dice mi camarada Jimmy, que en paz descanse, camarada mío Jimmy Díaz, lifelong friend. Dice, hey, bro, what you gonna do with that money, man? Me dice el otro primo, compra mota, vato, vamos a vender mota. Estás loco, vato. I was too greedy to try to sell it.
¿Estaba la libra $20 o qué?
$5, $10 lids.
Yeah.
4-finger lids.
La quebramos y le hacemos bolsas.
Hacemos un desmadre.
Un nicle, un dime, un 20, chingado.
Dice el camarada, hey, man, why don't you make a dance, man? You go to every damn dance there is. Why don't you do something with that? Y de ahí pesqué la onda, bro. And that's when I brought
Little Joe?
A few months later is when I decided that's what I'm going to do. And that's when I brought Little Joe.
¿Cómo te fue con el baile?
You know, it was good, man. We had like 500 people there to dance.
Sacaste una feriecita. ¿Qué tanto le metiste? ¿Qué tanto te cobró Little Joe en ese año?
¿Te puedo decir o no te digo?
Te lo voy a decir,
$2,500.
$2,500, 1975.
79, 78 por ahí.
Y estaba pegando con Aquarrola. Sí, las nubes ya la tenía.
No, todavía no tengo.
No, todavía no. That was like 77,
but
something
he
like
was,
that.
He was at, he was going strong already, and
Prieta linda.
Yeah, and I remember
tengo.
They were all huge. Every song he did was almost.
Was Johnny and
El Puente Roto, remember that song?
Sí.
El Puente Roto. Yeah.
Was Johnny and Rocky with it? También
Era La Familia.
Yeah, wow.
And that's why he changed the name. He had just changed the name from the Latin Ears, and my claim to fame was one of the, that night, it just so happened that they put me on there was a reporter touring with him from one of the big magazines, and I don't, Ramon Hernandez, you know Ramon Hernandez from San Antonio, the photographer?
I think so,
and he does, Que Onda magazine, I think, or something. He sent me an article, that was that article, I'd been looking for it. That guy was writing an article about Little Joe, transitioning to La Familia. And I happened to go in the bus, and the guy interviewed me, asked me what my name was and how old I was. And I can prove that I made that dance because there's a big article. I had it laminated. It's in my house. It's on my wall. I had it laminated. Ahí está, donde dice Luna, youngest promoter at Texas, 21 years old.
Milestone.
Cállate. Ya después creía que me iba a hacer rico.
Groundbreaking.
No, hombre, lo que pasó, si te digo, no me crees.
Pues dime, quiero saber. ¿Qué te pasó?
No. We did good for a long
500
time.
people at $10, $5, y te cobró $2,500 y el salón te sale ¿qué tanto?
$300 por el salón.
¿Y estabas vendiendo vironga o el salón
la tenía back then?
Porque back then estaba 18, 19 el drinking age, ¿verdad?
Yeah, 18 y luego $1 a beer, yo creo, back then.
Sí,
you know,
50 cents, 50 centavos.
Y luego, pues nosotros, we gave them, there was a radio station, an AM radio station, KFRD, in Rosenberg.
Okay.
Se llamaba Maruca, la Maruca Tijerina. I still remember, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was the DJ. She was a local DJ there, locutora.
Sí.
Y
ahí comprabas toda la promoción.
Ahí compré la promoción, hice el little cartoon. Yo creo que we didn't make them like we do now.
$6 el comercial, $3.
I think I paid like $400 for like 3 weeks or something, man. It was good.
Te pegaron duro.
Sí, and it turned out, and as time went on, I started making more and more dances. Y luego ya,
What did you learn from the first dance that you did? What did you learn not to do?
I learned not to take anything for granted.
Okay.
That's one of the things I can tell you now at this age. I'm 68 years old now, brother. I've been around the block. Y por eso te estaba diciendo hace rato que pasé por todos esos pinches caminos chuecos, man. You know what I mean? I hit rock bottom, man.
We'll definitely talk about that in a bit.
And so we went through I started making dances como en Rosenberg, and I would do Angleton, and then I Lake Freeport.
Yeah, a little circuit.
Yeah, little, and I would bring the band. Y luego ya cuando comenzó Emilio, ya cuando they made the transition from, yo traía más antes, traía a los Chachos, traía a Al Chavarría, el Grupo Mayo, Emilio Guerrero, Charro Band,
El D. Martin de la Ole.
Sí, yeah.
I love that music, the Charro Band.
El Galán, David Males. We had, that's what I grew up with.
Latin Breed.
The Latin Breed came a little later. I was doing these guys. I call them the corporate circuit because they were from this area. A lot of the bands that I knew that I was
Coastal
doing.
Bend.
Sí, called the Coastal Bend area, man, and I did a lot of those guys. Gary Guajardo, and there was a couple
I remember
of bands.
Gary, man.
Yeah,
wow.
So there was quite a few bands that I was doing like that, and then Jesse Serrata came in with Tough Band, y luego Los Únicos,
Bobby Naranjo
y
y
luego
Dirección.
Romance,
Yeah.
Bobby Naranjo. I booked all those guys.
You're talking late 70s, early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
Yeah, you were already, 5 years in, man?
Yeah. And then logré continue, and after a while, you saw the change. You saw the synthesizer come in.
Yeah.
Instead of the keyboard. Then you see the synthesizer. You see more of the big band started going away. And I always loved the big band sound.
Orchestra.
I still do, yeah. La orquesta.
Con todos los pitos.
I did I was doing the Sunnies. Then I started doing the Sunnies and the Latin Breed. And then Agustin Ramirez, Joe Bravo. I did all of that circuit while they were on the decline and the other guys were coming in. I was the little transition there.
Sí.
Y luego comenzó the Tejano movement, Back then it was still called Chicano, It was
The
still
San
Chicano.
Antonio sound?
Yeah, because back then you were still we were still in the Chicano movement, the Chicano Chicanismo,
Sí.
Y luego entraron the David Lees and the Rams and the keyboard with a Roberto Pulido with a horn and
the accordion with the horn,
accordion with
the
horn,
saxophone.
the sax,
Yeah.
and that was a whole different era,
Sí.
And then we started doing y luego se salió Emilio from David Lee, and Emilio and I became very, very good friends, man. We were like brothers, man. He was my little brother. Cuando falleció Emilio, Channel 11 from Houston came and interviewed me at my home about him because somebody told them that how close we were. But it was a crazy era back then, man. But so we went through all of that. I went through the Emilios, and then I hit my spell, and you knocked me down for a little bit. But
what year was that?
I want to say 2004, bro.
Okay.
2002.
But did it started? We're talking about drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. That because during the 90s, bro,
it was
when Tejano was
you
like
thought that
peak.
was the thing to do, man.
Everybody was
nobody
partying,
could touch
man.
you, man.
Everybody had money. Everybody was succeeding, and everybody was partying. It was a one big party, man.
Well, that's when that's when Emilio and David Lee and all these guys they hit mainstream America, so to speak, for a little while because the conglomerates came in and they took Tejano to a whole different level, and the Salinas and the Emilios, and it was a great time.
What was
for
Emilio?
us? It was all but a party to us.
Yeah. What was Emilio charging back then, man? At the peak of his career.
Well, it was still early, but I think the last time that I dealt a lot with a good friend of mine that was his manager and his brother-in-law, Joe Casillas, and they were in the tens, mid-tens, sometimes.
But you knew you were gonna. You'd hire Emilio that was gonna be sold out, right?
But back then, not with everybody, but with me because I had such a rapport with a lot of these guys. Most of it was work with percentage. Back then, it was a percentage, 80-20.
Yeah,
after expenses. Yeah. Because I didn't own any ballrooms back then. I did not like here in in the near past, I've owned quite a few clubs and stuff. So
Sí.
so where I had everything. It's different.
Y en los clubs, pues ahí está todo el pisto.
Pues
y el
tengo todo. I mean, I had
party.
everything at that time. But yeah. But and then we started the heydays, man, the party days, man.
Yeah.
It was a long. I tell my family, man, I don't remember anything about my 40s. I don't remember a damn thing about my 40s.
We're very
man.
fortunate to still be here.
I'm fortunate. I know that we're talking a little bit, but I think both of you and I are very, very blessed to still be able to be here and talk about it. And I'm not ashamed to tell you, man. A lot of people say, man, how do you tell people? Listen, I'd rather tell you than somebody else tell you a lie about me. I'll tell you the truth. It doesn't bother me. I was a drug addict from hell, brother.
Yeah.
And
We both were.
Yes, sir. And I tell you, man, Dios es muy grande, carnalito.
Yeah.
Porque I shouldn't be here today. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. When I hit rock bottom, I had over a $500 day habit. My wife didn't know. My family didn't know. They thought I was an alcoholic. They thought I was a gambler. They were naive to the cocaine and all that stuff, man. They didn't know.
Yeah.
And I hit it. But it's not that I didn't start one day and that was it. I mean, you know how this thing.
Yeah.
I started doing this, smoking. Doing powder coke when I was 20, man. But it was gradual, and then at the end, you start freebasing it, and that was the beginning of the end.
You're telling me, man.
That was the beginning of the end for
brings
me.
Everybody down.
But it actually saved my life because when I hit rock bottom, I didn't know where to go, man.
Yeah.
And I walked into a non-denominational church one day, and I asked God to forgive me, brother, because I was about to take my life, man. I was gonna again put my family in another, taking the coward way out, leave them to all the trouble again. I'd put them through all the trouble, and then I was going to compound it for them.
Yeah.
But when I walked out of that non-denominational church that day, I had a over $500 day habit. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And that night when I walked out of that church, bro, I'm telling you, look, I get goosebumps when I tell people this. I walked out of that church, Rock. I've never picked up a cigarette again in my life. That night. I didn't go to rehab. I've never picked up powder, cocaine, any kind of drug since then. I've been clean since that day, March the 13th, 22 years ago, man.
God had a plan for you, man.
Yeah, man, and I'm here, and look at it, man. Today, every one of these people work with me.
Yeah.
Because my word is my bond, brother.
Yeah. And that guy that was asking, why do you talk about it? It's because we can.
Yeah.
We're still here.
We're fortunate. And
We're
if I can
alive.
save somebody from doing what I did,
Yeah.
I've had the honor to speak to schools, churches, and I tell people about my life, my experience, because I don't want anybody to. If I can save one guy, and I did my testimony in a church in Angleton quite a few years back, and this guy, he walked up to me after I did my testimony, and estaba llorando el vato, y me dijo, and I knew him. He was a little kid that I had known growing up, and he's a few years younger than I am, and he came up to Mr. Luna, estaba llorando el vato, me dijo, man, you changed my life tonight, man. You changed my life. That's what it's about. Well, about 3 years ago, I'm at a dance during the pandemic, man. When we had the pandemic, we were still holding dances, but we were doing like con la máscara y la chingada. But I kept the guys working.
Social distancing.
Yeah, and we had, pero the guys, like I would bring a trio instead of the whole band, the keyboard, the drummer, and the singer, or the accordion, the singer, and the drummer. That's what we would have inside this club called the Lounge. And I got up on stage and I said something, and he recognized me, and he came up to me and goes, "Hey man, you remember me?" And I remembered him when he told. I didn't remember at the second, but he said who he was, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I told you saved my life, man." He goes, "And I'm still here to thank you for it." So this is 7, 8, 10 years later, man. So te pega,
Yeah, man.
Te pega en el
Isn't that
corazón.
crazy?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Really is, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim's doing a show, and it's happening April 27th. It's on a Saturday. It's called El Concierto Inolvidable. You got a good lineup, man.
Yeah, gracias a Dios, man. I have
La
a lot
Mafia, bro.
Yeah, La
After
Mafia.
all these years, you're
Yeah.
still bringing in La Mafia. They're still bringing in people.
Oh, they're bringing them in, man. Actually, Rock, we're completely sold out 3 weeks ago of VIP tickets. We're sold out of the reserve seating. The only thing we have left is a general admission. We're putting this together it's called Independence Park in Pearland. It's a beautiful park, man. It seats about 7,000, 8,000 people, but it's like a amphitheater. You can bring your lawn chair or you can bring una blanket. Te sientas en la hill, la berm, or the hill. You can sit anywhere you want around the stage, arriba o abajo. And it promises to be an incredible show. This is my third show there in Pearland. The first one we did was with Michael Salgado and Jay, Ram, I forget, Stephanie Montiel. We had over 5,000 people at that event. Paid event, fíjate.
Awesome.
And then we did one in November with Bobby Pulido, his daddy, the reunion with his dad. La Fiebre, I had Signo, and somebody else. Oh, Lucky Joe.
Lucky Joe.
It was incredible, man. Yeah. That one was an incredible show. Medio frito, but it was good.
This show is David Lee Garza y los musicales.
Yeah, I've got La Mafia, David Lee Garza y los musicales, as you said, Marcos Orozco. I've got the Iconics. Man, if you haven't seen those guys, Mike G.
Gonzalez, el hijo de Jimmy.
They're going to do a tribute to their dad.
And they're just releasing. They're releasing a new song.
I saw that, and then I brought on. I saw her at the awards in San Antonio. This young lady. We were at the Mundial Awards in San Antonio a few months ago, and I saw her perform. Alicia Centron.
Okay.
And she goes by Alicia C.
Okay.
She's incredible, man. Incredible pipes, man. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna let her use some of the fan base that these guys bring so she can get a
little
boost.
exposure.
Yeah. So she's coming on board with us too. I'm going to have tu camarada nuestro, el camarada nuestro, el Bumper. Bumper's going to be my MC.
Yeah.
Dijo, dile que yo voy a ser el MC.
Bumper's a good kid, man. And
I'll be with him tomorrow night. I'll be with him tomorrow night.
Es todo. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can get the tickets at eventbrite.com if you want to go check out this event. It's happening in Pearland, Texas, and it's Independence Park, and it's Concierto Inolvidable. Just look it up, and it's Jim Lona, Quarter Moon Productions, okay? Also, wanted to ask you, bro, what event have you done that's been the most profitable? Donde chinga, esta es una buena lana, carnal. So you were like, wow.
I tell you, there's been a few, but I'm not going to get into how much money, but I will tell you that the George Lopez concert that I did George Lopez about 6 years ago in Freeport, Texas. They were, when I put it out on the boost, you know what I'm talking about? You boost it, and we boosted it to I don't know how many people. We spent like $1,000 to boost it.
Yeah.
George Lopez and Freeport has 12,000 population, man, and we had like 6,000 people there. So
half of the city.
Se taparon las luces de la ciudad.
Yeah.
Pero the point I was going to make is that they were saying, "There's no way George is coming to Freeport, man. There's no way, and it's going to be fake y que la chinga." Pero no, man. Si le pagas a then we did an incredible gate, and we logramos que teníamos la barra también. So
Órale.
It was a very powerful.
Y con música tejana, bro.
Sí, Truje, fíjate.
¿Sí?
Truje, no, pero te iba a decir, I brought a band called the X Factor, and I did an Emilio tribute with a friend of mine. He sang with David Lee for a little bit. Now anda tocando guitarra con los Iconics. He was with Joe for a while.
Okay.
Se llama Joaquin Cura.
Órale.
And Joaquin came in and did with the X Factor. He did because the X Factor es el ex keyboard player de Emilio.
Marky, I had him on the show.
Yeah, great guy, man.
They're a very versatile band, very good. And the guy, he grew up with the Joe Posada school, bro.
Yeah,
So,
I know, man, it was great,
bro.
Yeah. So they did a tribute to Emilio, man. Pero con los mexicanos, I would have to say that show that I've done an event in Rockport. This will be my 7th annual, and the second annual, Rockport was a very, very profitable event. To Signo, Jesse Turner, and I had some opening acts, and he brought Chris
Perez.
Yeah,
and did a song together.
Yeah, and it was an incredible. So that has to measure one of the top, along with the event we just did in Pearland in November.
Now let's go to what show did you lose your ass, bro?
Quieren que saque la
or
cuenta.
or
¿Qué
what
chingada?
shows.
Hey, don't say it singular, man. You gotta say it plural, dog.
Yeah, shows. Yeah,
Oye,
because
Pontas.
being a promoter is
Oh,
a
yeah.
risk, man. I mean,
Yeah, it
you
is.
lose and you win and you try to, al último a lo mejor quedas tablas, ¿entiendes?
Una vez, hasta nunca se me olvida, at the fairground in Angleton, man, outdoor, nos llovió, vato, me escupieron.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was a terrible event. Wasn't nothing you can do,
Yeah. Well, there's some sort of insurance?
Well, I do
that
not back
people-
then.
Not back
no,
then.
now I never do an event, and I do all my shows now are concerts, as you see. Most of my 95% of the shows I do are all outdoor concerts, and I say that because it's a lot more lucrative to do big events,
Yeah.
So like that, and you have insurance now. You have insurance. You can insure any show. You can insure a golf tournament. We've done that. We've had
In case it rains
or you can.
And how does that work? Like,
For example, let's say this event I'm doing with La Mafia. You can buy in any increment of the rain. Like you can buy an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch, a half an inch. The more rain that falls, the cheaper it is on you. If you want to say que escupa alguien y te pagan, te van a pagar, pero it's going to cost you 10 times more money. You know what I'm saying? I'm being a little facetious, but let's say you order an eighth of an inch. That's very little rain. But if it does that, and you can still have the concert. Like I did that in Victoria one year. One year in Victoria, before they had the satellite, they had to measure from the airports. They didn't have, at the time, they didn't have satellites.
with a little glass.
Yeah.
Little.
Yeah, so they had the rain gauge at the airport, the county airport. Well, it rained there, but it didn't rain in my concert. So I got paid from the insurance, and I still had the concert.
Órale.
So that was a double whammy there.
Wow.
But it
Pues
just made up for all the times that I lost.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, man.
Pero así pasan las cosas.
Sí.
Now that satellite's going to tell you exactly where you're at, pinpoint how much it rained. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I remember I knew a promoter locally, aquí, Nano Ramirez.
Yeah.
And I would tell him he had something planned for like November, and it was like freaking May or something. I'm like, oye, pues November se viene el frío, llueve y todo, no, pero ya, according to the Farmer's Almanac. I was like, what? He's like, he looked through the Farmer's, I don't know how that worked. That's always a trip to me. Like the Farmer's Almanac can actually guide you on how the weather's going to be. But that was pretty interesting. So, but yeah, man, I'm sure there's been some shows. Did you ever have a show where you were like, man, you were so like, man, should I even keep doing this? Or?
Oh, I mean, you know what? I love what I do, but of course, there's times over all of these years, 48 years, you know that I've been through thick and thin, man. Pero gracias a Dios, in the last 6-7 years, man, everything is got pretty much on cue.
Everything's going good.
You don't get me wrong, you still lose your ass,
Yeah.
So, pero one of the major things that I do that most promoters don't do, or some do, but I sell marketing schemes to my events. I don't just go and put a concert on and I say, mira, te voy a pagar esto y aquí está, y, I get the bands. I sell marketing schemes to H-E-B, to Thomas J. Henry, to the Walmarts, to car dealers.
Sponsorships.
I call them marketing schemes because that's what they are.
Yeah.
I give them marketing in return, and they give me cash money.
Yeah.
And that helps me defray the costs.
Exactly.
So that cuts it. So like on this event, I've cut, I'm not going to get into numbers, but I have cut, you can imagine, you being in this business, you can imagine how much this costs right here. These four groups.
La Mafia, Marcos, Musicales, Iconics.
You can imagine, way up there. But I've cut it in half with all my sponsorships. So, that
helps out a lot.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
When you can raise $35,000 from just sponsors, and they're not giving you the money, they're buying sponsorship through marketing. I give them radio, depending on the tier. I have a sheet that I send out to all of these people. I have 2 girls that work full time, and all they're doing is sending out marketing schemes for my next event.
Órale.
And they'll have 3 or 4 tiers on there. The first tier is for the mom and pops, the $250 for the little restaurants.
Sí.
They get a couple of tickets, and I have a different poster.
Silver, gold, platinum.
Yeah, I have the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and super platinum.
Vámonos, recio.
And you'd be surprised, man. You'll never know if you. And then I send them, and when they're interested, then I get on the phone with them and I explain to them. Like the car dealerships really love it because, and so does the people like the Thomas J. Hendricks of the world because. They have tons of money to market. You see the billboard everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're getting grassroots from me. I'm going to the mat directly to 4,000 or 5,000 people. Tell them, look, this guy right here. If you're ever in a wreck, this is a guy. Or if you will need to go to HEB because these are the people that are helping me bring these here.
Organic.
So, yeah, man.
And that,
grassroots, man.
A lot of people think that just social media can do it. No, man. You have to be organic as well.
And then I have the mega screen. So all of these sponsors are running. I'm running their advertisement all night in Rockport for 2 nights. They're running their advertisement. And then I'm the MC most of the time. I get on stage and I recognize them. If they want to get on stage, les doy su 10 seconds of glory, you know what I'm saying?
Mesa también.
Oh, they got their private mesa. They got their private.
Yeah.
They get to meet and greet the artists, so they get private restrooms, private way.
VIP.
Yeah, hasta.
Yeah. They got a little bar, some food, enjoy it. Yeah.
On this go round, I picked up Taqueria Arandas. You may not know them, but they have 28 stores in Houston metropolitan area.
Órale.
Taqueria Arandas. Right there, Taqueria Arandas. They have the Ostioneria and they have the bakeries. They have 28 stores. Wow. When they came to me, when I sold them the package, we went and met. And these guys have 130,000 people that walk through their 28 throughout the week. Throughout 138,000 people that come in and out of their.
Está buena
20s.
La comida, carnal.
And they're doing exceptionally well. They got 28 franchises.
Yeah.
So they have at every table, they have a little como una window picture, and it's got, if you want free tickets, and the Mafia thing is there. They bought me on Telemundo, they bought $18,000 worth of spots for for TV. And then we went to La Mafia studio with Arandas, and we did a press conference at La Mafia studio. And then Mega, which is another Odyssey station over in Houston, along with Fierro, is promoting the event through Arandas. They went all out for me, man. And
they hashtag PVT también.
Vámonos recio. Yes, sir. Okay, you know what I remember? Let me tell you what I remember about you, man. Years ago, and I'm going to make you do something right now. I told you, years ago, Videnos del Valle, bro, and I'm listening to a radio station, and I hear this dude, man, talking backwards. I said, what the hell? And then somebody called you, and they would say something, and you would say, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who you were. And then I kept listening, and they said, yeah, it says Rock.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll James, man. I said, man, who is this guy? I could never figure out who you were, brother. I could never.
Do you think I would have cornered the market over there in Angleton
or
Houston with my...
at the Kakukuka days, man.
Yeah, dude.
Those were the big days, man.
Chatemos con una gorabing bien ya fría la cheno. Mochate con una vironga bien fría la noche.
Dilo otra vez.
Chatemos con una gorabing bien ya fría la cheno. Yeah, man. Mochate con una vironga bien fría la noche, papá.
I said, this dude is talking in another language, man. In a Tejano station, man.
Yeah, man.
We figured it out.
I had a friend que en paz descanse de Westlake que se llamaba Robert Lerma, and originally from Mercedes, and that's where this language originated. We used to talk like that in school, so the teachers wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about. You know, hey, tengo un keto, un clinic de tamo, nicle mota. You know what I mean? And so he would call me and we'd carry a conversation on the radio. And then, I recorded the conversation and then I'd go back after he'd hang up and I would play the recording and I'd stop it and I'd be educating the listener on what we were saying. And so
that's the way I caught
it was really, really fun to do.
It was
man.
funny. I was coming. How long ago was that?
Oh man, it must have been 2000. But I was with that station in the morning.
What was the name of that station?
Que Pasa 99.5. And I had the 5 o'clock mix, and it was like nothing like. I mean, people still come up to me and tell me there's never been anything like it on the radio.
I talk about you to this day. Before we just now hooked up. But I've been talking about you for years.
Yeah.
Every time I think about that,
isn't that amazing, man? Small world, bro, right?
Yeah.
And the radio, the power of radio, you know.
Well, that's what people don't understand. And now the technology today, what you do, mira, y te quiero agradecer, Carnalito, first of all, because es un orgullo para mí, seriously, to be able to be, especially the inaugural, you know, here with what you're doing.
Yeah, the one-on-one.
Yeah, I like it, you know, and chance que no salga de salir, but to me, what you're doing for our genre is an incredible feat all in its own, and it really humbles me to be able to sit here next to you, across from you, and be able to chatlear contigo así, carnal, and just be able to be myself and to be able to say, I don't know that I could do this live, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, one-on-one, but you make people feel at home, brother. I mean, you really do.
I did this, and I started this because I love stories, man, you know, and everybody has a story. I remember Arturo Montes, de Grupo
Ternura. Yeah, he played for me.
We used to hang out at a place called it's a auto place there in Dana, and we'd hang out there, and there was always Carlos Guzman, Roberto Polido. We'd all be hanging out there, and he was there. And my father-in-law was there, and I was talking with Roberto, and then he goes behind me and he tells my father-in-law, a ver si un día estoy suficiente famoso para estar en el programa de mi rock. And I turn around, oye Arturo, no tienes que ser famoso, todos tenemos historias. We all got stories, man, and we all got stories that relate with people.
¿Verdad?
And that's what I love, man, just like having you here. You're a promoter, you know, but you've got an amazing story. You're a survivor of drug addiction and alcoholism, you know, and you've been, it doesn't, you know, because I've seen promoters come and go, man, in my 35, 40 years of being in this business, and not many have been consistent to a point where, you know what, they're still doing it 50 years later like you, dude. So there's got to be something there that has to be said about your perseverance and, you know, through your struggles. And
Thank you, man.
You realized you had to, you know, change it up a bit.
You got to modify. You got to modify yourself. You got to find the happy medium, man.
And you knew when to say enough.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
I can't take all the credit for that, but I will tell you that you know, I believe in a higher power, and I'm not here to be a holy roller with anybody. I'm just telling you that I found what I needed to find through my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I don't tell you I go to church every week. I don't tell you that. I'm telling you that I have my own program and that I learned to survive through what He taught me, and I move forward, man. And today, I'm at the top of my game, brother. I mean, and I'm not, at the risk of sounding vain, I'm not trying to be vain. Yo te digo porque yo sé que no hay muchos como yo que hacen lo que yo hago. There's not, and I don't.
And for as long as you've been doing it,
you got to find that happy medium, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, and what band has been the most difficult to work with?
Oh,
ahora que ya le repites a Dios y todo eso.
Cállate, bro. No te puedes ir. Hey, they'll be calling my phone right now. No, I know they're going to listen.
Habla al revés, bro.
Ocha, pasa acá. Ya te prendí la onda.
Habla al revés.
Digo el vato, H, pache acá.
El parche. Okay, what does that mean? Okay.
That guy was, listen, Steve Jordan was one of the guys. I'm glad you mentioned that. He was one of the guys that was the first guys that started coming to Angleton too with me. And este vato se quedaba, he had a little school bus, chiquito, vato, con los musicians.
Sí.
His little equipment in there and everything. And he had a little generator in the front of his bus, man.
Hey.
Se iba para el beach, vato, ahí se parqueaba 2 o 3 días después. But it's just
what an amazing,
crazy, man. I mean, and he was one of the most. I went to see him before he passed away at a little club, a little hole in the wall called Salutes in San Antonio.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing performances I've ever seen in my life.
He was very eccentric, you know. He
Yeah,
didn't
he
he
did.
didn't care about luxury.
Nothing.
He didn't care about, money. All he cared about was the art,
Music, man.
The
Music.
art, yeah.
And he was so advanced in his time. It's sad because he was too advanced for his age, for his time. He really was.
Well, he was one of the only conjunto guys that was, accepted by Hollywood stars.
Yeah.
There's a video where he's on stage with Santana and Jerry Garcia and Tito
stupid
Puente.
good, man. It's crazy,
And I'm like,
man.
what? And it's on YouTube,
I know.
And so, amazing guy. I used to be able to hang out with him, and we used to party a lot. And I even hasta me hice el tattoo de él aquí, bro. Mira.
Wow.
Yeah, because we're so good. We're good friends, man.
Yeah, he is a very good friend of mine, too.
But going back to the artist that gave you the hardest time, bro.
Olvídate de eso, bro.
Uno que dijiste, ya no vuelvo a ocuparlo, chica, no lo vuelvo a buquear.
When he hears this, when he hears it, what you're asking me, I'm not going to answer that. But he's going to know it was him. He's going to know, pinche Luna, vale más que no digas nada.
Maybe our fans can guess or can try to guess, right?
I tell you what, if you guess it, let me give you my number because I'm going to do this anyway because I want, anybody that's listening to this and you want to come to this event and you heard it here with The Rock and myself, I'm going to give you a free general admission ticket to come to the concert with La Mafia, David Lee, Marcos, Iconics, Alicia C. All you have to do is call me at 979-665-1923, 979-665-1923. If you call me and say you heard it here, I'm going to tell you who it was. And I'm going to give you 2 free tickets, I promise you.
That's
man.
a great deflection, bro. Hey, well, how can I get out of this? I'll give free tickets. So, what is your dream concert event, man, that you probably haven't done yet?
That's a very good question, man. And I don't, I've done comedy. I've done big comedy. I've had everybody from Intocable to Ramon Ayala to, I had Selena. I had Selena when she was 9 years old. I had her when she was at almost a peak. There was a ballroom in Angleton called Bobby Joe's Ballroom. But I did an event in Angleton in the 80s. This guy, my camarada I was telling you about, that's working here, that's gonna go play poker with me later tonight. Him and I decided to put on, and I had a La Mafia. I had Mas. I had Romance. I had Emilio Guerrero. I had La Movida de Ricky Smith.
Wow.
It was a big show at the Angleton Fairgrounds.
What an amazing era to be living through, right?
Man. And I had Mayo, Grupo Mayo. And I had Selena and her daddy and her band, her family, they played they opened up for like.
She was just starting out?
Yeah, just starting out. But it was a lowrider car show. That's what it was. We had a lowrider car show and concert, and it was there at the fairground, man. And I will never forget that. A few years later, she comes and she plays for the ballroom, which was Bobby Joe's Ballroom, and by that time she was already at the top of her game, almost, man. It's crazy how the
evolution of her career, man, was amazing in such a short span of time.
And they lived right there, down the road from where I live. You know, when they first started, they had the Papagayos restaurant. We went to eat there. We'd see her in the corner playing her. You know, just like
incredible, man.
Crazy, man. It's crazy times, but it was.
That's great that we're at the age we are. You know, we got to experience a lot of things. You know, I always get people contacting me on social media, just like amazed that I was able to sit down with Selena and interview her, and we're able to spend time together, and we were able to see her evolve and see her in concert. I mean, so many people that would have loved to see that. Young kids, bro, right
absolutely.
now, from all over the world.
And isn't it amazing that she still has the following that she has? She's gone through generations, and they're still there.
Yeah.
They're still there, man.
It's amazing.
I talked to her daddy about. I did the my Tejano Awards here. I was a presenter here last.
Oh, okay, yeah, con Mando San
Sí,
Román.
con Mando, yeah.
Was it
Mando
in Mission? Was it in Mission?
Yeah, it was at the last one they did.
Yeah.
And I got to talk to her dad. The year before that, they didn't do it, so they brought the awards to San Antonio to give to the people, and they asked me to come and do, to open up for them and do like a little emceeing. So I did that, and I got to talk to her dad for a little bit, man. It goes back a long ways.
Yeah,
man.
man.
Crazy.
In 85, I put eyes. You know.
Yeah.
I got. She changed my life so much that I got this.
I saw that, man.
Tattoo
I saw that.
of Selena, and it still needs some work on it, pero. So your dream concert event would be?
You know, that's a very good question. I said that a while ago, and I cannot, off the top of my head.
Who would you like to book that you haven't booked?
You know, you talking about Tejano or anything?
It doesn't matter whatever.
I would like to do ZZ Top, man.
ZZ Top?
Actually, I'm working on it, to be honest
with
with you.
Leonard Skinner. They're touring together.
Yes, I
It's
don't
called
know if it'll be at that time, but I would love that. Those were my times, you know.
Yeah.
I would love to do ZZ Top.
Well, they've lost their bass
Yeah,
player,
I know,
so they've
I
got Elmer, I think is the name of the bass player, who was one of the roadies. I got to see him on the last tour, but right now they're touring with Leonard Skinner. And Leonard Skinner, there's not one member that's still alive,
left, right? Yeah, they're all
except
gone.
for the brother of the singer. But it's called the Sharp Dressed Simple Man Tour.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's
so
badass.
that ought to be pretty good,
Yeah,
man.
I would love to. I would like
Have
to
you
do
ever
it.
done
The
any rock
Eagles-
concerts or anything like
No,
that?
well, like the guy from Grand Funk, I did him.
Mark Farner?
Mark Farner.
Okay.
I did him about 10 years ago. Didn't work out.
No.
Perdí hasta la madre.
Yeah, it's one of those.
It was one of those you asked me about.
No, because that's I guess that'd be good for a motorcycle rally or something, a
it's
biker rally.
not good for Angleton, brother.
Yeah,
It wasn't good for Angleton.
those guys are all they're all hippies smoking that weed, man. But you know what? Back in the '70s, they were huge. They filled up Shea Stadium, and you
Estos
know.
vatos querían, fíjate, and I was naive to that, man, back 10, 12 years ago. I guess I don't know what made me venture into rock. They wanted drums their drum set. I was in their rider. They wanted me to rent the drum set out of Dallas, I think, or somewhere over there.
Yeah.
It was going to cost me more money for the drum set than it was for what I was paying Mark Farner. Tan tonto, chinga.
Well, let's go. Going back to the most difficult band to
There
work
you go.
with, right? There you go.
Ándale, me sacaste de madre,
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
I don't have to talk about Matejano people. Era pinche Mark Farner.
Este andaba con lo de Tejano. Ande, chinga, te iba a sonar el teléfono, carnal. So, man.
He's still going to call me, I guarantee. I'm glad you didn't say nothing.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, go check out the show Concierto Inolvidable, Saturday, April 27th, Independence Park in Pearland, Texas. It'll be David Ligarce, Los Musicales, Marcos Orozco, Iconics, La Mafia, Alicia Cintrón, and DJ Double O. And Eventbrite.com is where you can get the tickets. And it's all brought to you by Jim Luna and Quarter Moon Productions. Just a fantastic person here, Jim. It's
Thank
been
you,
a pleasure
carnal.
to
Te lo
meet you.
agradezco, carnal.
Y pues ya sabes, ya que nos conocemos, ya nunca nos vamos a olvidar,
Nunca,
papá.
carnalillo,
Ya sabes,
nunca.
por
Man,
vida.
Por siempre, carnal.
Yeah.
Dios primero, pero man, I'd like to see you be my MC
No, hombre, no,
on my next show, man.
No le puedo
right
tumbar
here.
el trono al bumper del
No,
trono,
no,
carnal,
no.
chico,
Bumper no
ay,
puede venir para Corpus.
Así.
Tiene la line, no,
Yeah.
no puede cruzar el
No,
límite.
hombre. It's only 2 hours, no, to Corpus. It's not too bad.
But I would really like to see you with me, man, with a show August the 31st.
That's the next show after
That's
this one.
in Rockport, Texas.
Okay.
That's my 7th annual. Este año cambié, and I'm going to have a lot of big conjuntos, and I've got, see if I can remember the lineup, but I got Lucky Joe, I've got the Tropa F, David Farias, Joe Farias. I think they're going to bring their brother Juan.
Yeah.
They're going to bring a reunion to La Tropa. I've got Lázaro Pérez.
Órale.
I've got Vidal, Grupo Vidal.
Good guys.
Yeah, man, and a couple other groups, and I also I'm bringing another young lady that I always try to give the ladies or young artists a break.
Yeah.
I've got Hilda Lamas.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of her.
She's gonna perform for us too that day, and y chance que Devin Banda might make a return.
Ah, órale.
We'll see about that.
Lucky
Eh?
Joe,
Ahí está
pues,
Lucky,
bye now,
pues
¿verdad?
tráete Lucky.
I'll do it, papá.
They got a song coming out. If it hadn't come out yet, I think she's about to release a song.
Well, I'm sure they'll let me know so we can start telling all our fans.
Absolutely, man.
You know what, man? I appreciate you coming in, man. And Tropa F, I've got some stories with them, bro.
Me too.
Cállate la boca, Chad.
Se agarraban a chingados.
But man, I never saw that. But we had some parties, bro.
We had. I used to use them a lot. And no se peleaban like that, but I mean, they were brothers, all of them. They were always at each other, man.
Una vez fui para la casita de ellos ahí, de la mamá y el papá, ahí en San Antonio, a ver los Cowboys, pues Cowboy fans, papá, you know. And I walk in and there's a picture, like a framed big picture on the wall, and it's all of them with afros, dude. ¿Cuál es Chito? ¿Cuál es Michael? And they all started laughing, bro, because it was back in the late 70s when all the Hispanics were getting afros, you know, but great history, bro. No, hombre, yo pura greña larga, pero pues ya se me cayó todo, Dad.
Yo tenía puro Jerry Curl.
Jerry Curl. Puro ¿cómo se llama? Glow. ¿Cómo se llama? El de la vista de ¿cómo se llama? Afro Glow.
I had my hair long. You know, when I graduated from high school, my hair was way down here.
Sí, andabas de rebel, ya madre, back in the 70s, cara. Cállate la boca, shut
up. Couldn't tell me nothing. He said, no me digas nada, shut up.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Hey, Jim, man, we just broke some ice.
Thank you, Carnalito.
#PVT one-on-one. Y aquí estamos, and I appreciate you coming down, man.
Thank you, carnal. Te quiero dar las gracias una vez más. De parte de Quarter Moon Productions, all of my staff and all of my family, gracias, carnal, for what you do, giving us the opportunity to be heard by worldwide, carnal. De parte de nosotros, man, gracias, carnal. Thank you.
Asústame one time.
I loved it.
Chatemoch con una gorabin ven ya fría la chenoch.
I remember that one. I can't say it, but I remember it's a cold beer.